Times rappers copied other rappers.
Helping you, and now you're dissing me. So I'm like, man, this is dark.
Do you want to win any of these items on your screen? If so, be sure to watch the whole video, leave a like, and comment the hidden message. And with that being said, let's get right into the video. For many rappers, their ability to make fresh and original songs is paramount, because their songs define who they are. But you'd be surprised how many times rappers have looked for inspiration in other songs and took more than just inspiration from them. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to King Trending. Number 10. The Pump Plan.
You see that? Water.
I am the best rapper alive. I want everybody to know that.
If you've been paying attention to the world of rap, you're going to notice a certain trend. Mainly, a lot of young rappers are going for a certain look and style when it comes to who they're trying to be, as well as rap execs trying to make the next big hits when it comes to their labels. You'll see a lot of young rappers have colored hair, face tattoos, and other various social media platforms to try to get themselves famous. And you might be thinking, doesn't that sound familiar, like a rapper who is already at the top of the game for the most part? And yeah, you're right. That sounds a lot like Lil Pump. The controversial rapper's had quite a career so far, and while it's to say it's fair to say someone like him has always inspired followers, it's also fair to say others have noticed what works for him. They're trying to directly copy it. I'm not talking about new rappers, I'm talking about executives who think they've dialed in on what made Lil Pump so successful. So they're implementing the Pump plan to try and get similar success out of other young rappers. The problem here is that it isn't a guaranteed thing, and Lil Pump knows about it, but he also sang about it and blasted in all the copies of him, saying that he's the original and nothing you can copy will ever be as pure as him. As much as Lil Pump is an idiot in regards to how he handles himself, he's pretty much right about this one. Number 9. Crystal Castles and 50 Cent.
Situation, I would always see opportunities or things that actually taking place that I couldn't be a part of because I didn't have finances.
Who's Crystal Castle? Well, that might be your question. They were an electronic band that made their name in Canada because of their synth-heavy tracks and interesting music and looks. And by the time they released their second album and third albums, they were on various social media platforms plugging their music wherever they could, including Tumblr and Hype Machine. And I seriously doubt none of you haven't heard of 50 Cent. But he's one of the most popular rappers of all time and one of the most successful in certain facets. So with two very different sets of people, how did this song get copied between them? How did a song get copied between them? Well, Crystal Castles once made a song called Courtship Dating in 2007, and 50 Cent made a track called Ayo Technology, and the latter song sounds an awful lot like the former in the beginning at least. But here's the catch. Unlike many songs on this list, there may be a reason this happened in a way that isn't controversial, but coincidental. The producer of 50 Cent's track, Timbaland, was believed to have used a program called Nas to make the opening for the rap piece. This program uses synth sounds that are very similar to the ones that Crystal Castle used in their own songs. So naturally, many wonder if this was the actual truth, or if it was just what 50 Cent or Timbaland said to try and get out of the trouble they were in. But it's a very possible scenario of what happened. Number 8. Young Money and Drake. Drake is one of the biggest musical artists in the world today, no matter what genre. And one of the most important things to him in regards to music is that it's original, or at the very least, original in terms of its words. He hates the idea of ghostwriters and destroys anyone who accuses him of doing such a practice. And the idea of Drake copying other people's music or beats is a bit ludicrous, and yet, when you look at his song Headlines, which came out in 2011, you notice that the opening of it sounds definitely similar to the group Young Money and their track Bedrock. It's only for 10 seconds that the songs are the same, but when you play them on top of each other, the differences are very few and far in between. It's almost eerie how similar they play. Now sure, there are many songs out there in the world that have similar chord progressions and such things like that, but this is a bit different, and Drake is again known for being very original. So having this, no matter how small or how different the songs are after the opening, is a bit odd. Oh, and then there's another song out there that has the same opening, Sent to Gold, and his track Desperate Youth. Man, how many people have copied Bedrock over the years? You gotta wonder. Oh yeah, and if you're not sold on Drake being a full-on copier, Number 7. Maze and Drake. During the beginning of his career, especially, Drake was famous for using his legends and inspirations words or beats in his tracks. Technically speaking, he did ask for permission from a lot of them when it came to doing this, and some of them even praised Drake for it in their own songs after the fact. Then, sometimes he would literally copy a rapper word for word. In his track Worst Behavior, which was a hit off his Nothing Was the Same album, he copied a long stretch of the song from Maze, More Money, More Problems. And by that I mean he literally took the verse from the main part of the song and put his own spin on it at times, and then went back to the original verse and basically sang it in his own song. You could say that he was paying tribute to him, another legend, but it's still copying. Number 6. Marcel and Jayz / Kanye West.
Just died down.
Yeah,
and the
just went
flame
away.
out.
Just making wrong business move, I'll say.
What's that? Jay-Z and Kanye West were copied by some other rapper named Marcel? Well, actually, it was the other way around. Marcel made a track called Next Till Chirp all the way back in 2005, and it was produced by Lil Jon. Then in 2011, Hit Boy produced the Jay-Z/Kanye West collaboration known as In Paris, a terrible pun on the movie Americans in Paris. That won Oscars. I guess originality is still a problem for some. Regardless of whether you've ever heard of the song from Marcel or if you've listened to them side by side, you're going to hear the resemblance plain as day. In fact, some even liken this copy to taking a track and enhancing it, which usually would be okay, but they didn't credit Marcel with the song inspiration. Instead, they claimed it was all them, which I hope you can tell now is a complete lie. And the Jay-Z/West song was a major hit, one that many fans adored. And little did those fans know that a small-time Atlanta rapper was the real reason it was such a big hit. And this wasn't the last time or even the first time that either of these rappers did something like this for one of their songs for a record. Number 5. Radiohead and Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj is definitely an interesting character in the world of rap. She's a great singer to be sure, but she's also very hot-headed and not afraid to do things that aren't exactly in good taste. Now, if you were to play her song Save Me and then play Radiohead's Imitate, you're going to notice that they sound similar in a certain way. Now, unlike the previous songs, you don't necessarily hear the similarities when you overlay one of the songs on top of the other, but rather you do when you start to understand that something from Imitate is in Save Me. But what is it? Well, that's up for you to decide. There are many theories on how these songs somehow merge. Some think that it's Radiohead's song sped up, or played in reversed, or sampled, or something else entirely. But there's one thing for certain. There's a little bit of Radiohead in this Nicki Minaj song, which is a tad bit of a red flag when you think about it. Then again, maybe it's not so odd. After all, Nicki Minaj was one who went on stage one time and proclaimed that every rapper out there used a ghostwriter. And so if she's willing to use words from other rappers, she likely would have been more than up for using music made by other people for her own songs. But I wouldn't recommend calling her out for that, because she might be a bit hot under the collar. Number 4. DJ Khaled and Kevin Rudolph. Want to know what's worse than copying a song? Basically not hiding that you copied a song and then the finished product is somehow better than the original. Confused? Well, I'll explain. In 2007, DJ Khaled was about to make a song called We Taken Over. And he wanted to make sure he got everyone he could on the song to make it as strong as possible. A smart play for sure. Akon, T.I., Rick Ross, Fat Joe, Birdman, and Lil Wayne got into the song. And the track was very well received and had a very memorable beat. So as you can see, he made the right move here. But that's where the twist in this tale came in. Because after the song released, Lil Wayne, who was again in the We Taken Over song, teamed up with Kevin Rudolph to make the song Let It Rock. The only real difference between how these two songs sound is that 1, Let It Rock used a lot more guitars, and 2, Let It Rock didn't have all those other singers on the track. So hearing all of this, you might think that Let It Rock was a lesser copy, but that's actually not what happened at all. For despite the great reception of We Taken Over, Let It Rock actually made it higher on the charts. So in this case, the copy was even better than the original, at least in the ears of the listeners. And that's not just weird, that's really weird. But hey, people like what they like, right? Number 3. Drake and Kanye West.
A diss song towards me that you produced that's talking about writing?
How is this for a classic? Drake and Kanye West used to be the best of pals, admiring each other's work and even doing collaborations for quite a while. But then Kanye went off the rails with his bipolar disorder, and before Drake knew what was happening, they were going back and forth in a verbal war that continues to this very day. They've dissed each other in many songs, interviews, and even on social media. It's really bad, to be honest. But in terms of song copies, Drake's I'm Going In and West's Cold sound oddly similar, which is very interesting considering that they were made by two very different producers via Needles and Hit Boy, respectively. Drake's piece came out first, but then Kanye's came out a bit later. The similarities were all there to see. Some even consider it a part 2 of what Drake did. The catch here is that because of how Kanye sang the song, it seemed different enough, and thus not a complete copy of Drake's song for the most part. But it's still a copy, and most people acknowledge that. So if you're wondering where this copy was in the timeline of their feud, it came out before it. So there was a small chance that Kanye didn't intentionally copy Drake, but sadly we'll never know because if he did do it, Kanye isn't stable enough to admit it. Number 2. Snoop Dogg and Tupac. The odd thing about copying a song is that it's not restricted to one person doing it. And if you recall, we've shown you multiple rappers taking beats from the same song earlier in the list. And now we're doing it with two rap legends, Snoop Dogg and Tupac. So how exactly did this all go down? Well, it's a case of copying because they both used a certain funk-heavy aesthetic when they made their track Who Am I? And You Can't See Me. Both of these singers were inspired by one of the masters of funk in George Clinton. And they both used samples for his songs in their own various ways to make their pieces stand out. Tupac even uses Clinton's voice in the song, while Snoop Dogg took a different approach altogether. Now yes, they styled their own songs differently, and obviously their voice tracks make the song different in other ways. But the copy is still there, and Snoop Dogg did it first, which makes Tupac the copier here. But whether this was a malicious copy isn't really clear here. After all, they were going for the beats above all else, right? And sometimes you get the beat that you're going for, and you need the right inspiration. I guess Snoop Dogg had that in his song, and so Tupac took it. Oh well, whatever. Number 1, Lady Gaga and Madonna.
I certainly think she references me a lot in her work. Sometimes I think it's amusing and flattering.
Okay, this isn't exactly a rapper copying another rapper, but this is one of the most famous and public cases of copying, so go with me on this. Madonna is one of the most famous singers of all time, and her claim to fame isn't just her music, but how she was able to rebrand herself to stay relevant for decades after she started her career. Lady Gaga is one who made her name through not only powerful singing, but colorful outfits and stage performances. And now that she's famous and an award-winning actress, she knows how to reinvent herself as well. That being said, all the smart and creative things that Lady Gaga has done, and a not so smart thing was deciding to copy Madonna. This specifically happened with Gaga's song Born This Way, which if you listen to the chorus of the track, you'll find it sounds very similar to Madonna's Express Yourself chorus. Nearly point for point, in fact. I wonder if Madonna found out about this. Well, and she found out. And when she found out, well, she wasn't happy at all. She never had a problem with Lady Gaga before or after this singular incident, which means that if this didn't happen, there would have been no bad blood between them. But because Lady Gaga wouldn't admit that she copied Express Herself, Madonna got even madder. So Madonna got back at her in the only way that she knew how, the Madonna way. When she went out on tour, she would play the two songs at the same time just to show how she copied her. Fans were also quick on the uptake, and many made their own mashups to show exactly how similar they were. So unlike all the other copies on this list, not only did Madonna call out her copier, she even got even with them in a very damaging way. Granted, Lady Gaga's career was fine after this, obviously, but it's still a blemish on her record. And so there you have it. A bunch of times that rappers copied other rappers, mainly in their songs, so did you expect to see all these big names on the list? Also, do you know any other sets of tracks that would fit this bill? Let me know in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time on King Trending.
A simple reminder on how to enter our brand new giveaway. We will be giving away either an iPhone X Max, the new iPad mini, or a MacBook Pro. It's really your choice. So be sure to leave a like, comment the keyword, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. It's really that simple. Go for it.